Rising over the skyline of the capital, the Washington Monument is the focal point of the district's geography. Its sheer scale makes it visible from almost every corner of the city. But looking at the masonry, a distinct line breaks the surface. From the 156-foot mark upward, the stone takes on a noticeably lighter shade than the blocks used at the base. This two-tone finish was never intended. It represents a total departure from the architect's original plans for the site. In 1833, architect Robert Mills proposed an incredibly elaborate design. His blueprints included a massive circular colonnade of Greek columns at the base, topped with a statue of George Washington riding a chariot. This physical discrepancy is the result of a construction process defined by stolen project funds, bitter political sabotage, and 30 years of abandonment. George Washington's legacy was built on his refusal of absolute power. After the Revolution, he famously resigned his commission and later stepped away from the presidency to preserve the new Democratic Republic. Because of that modesty, many early Democratic Republicans resisted the idea of a monument. They argued that massive Egyptian-style structures were symbols of authoritarianism and elitism that had no place in a democracy. This ideological conflict between Federalists and their opponents led to decades of total legislative gridlock, leaving the proposal for a national monument in limbo. The proposal for a colossal stone structure stood in direct opposition to Washington's personal modesty. Its eventual construction was the result of a bitter political struggle rather than a moment of shared national celebration. Construction finally moved forward in 1848. To help finance the project, the interior was lined with memorial stones donated by various states, civic organizations, and foreign nations. In 1854, Pope Pius IX sent a block of Italian marble for the monument. It was quickly labeled the Pope's Stone and became a flashpoint for religious tension. Members of the Know Nothing Party, a fiercely anti-Catholic faction, stole the block and dumped it into the Potomac River to prevent it from being installed. Following the theft, this extremist group successfully seized control of the monument's organizing society. Their presence caused both public funding and private donations to stop completely. This domestic interference, combined with the outbreak of the American Civil War, forced builders to abandon the site entirely. As seen in this 19th century photograph, the project sat for over 20 years as an unfinished stone stump, a visible reminder of the nation's conflicts. In 1879, the project resumed under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Lincoln Casey of the Army Corps of Engineers. He immediately encountered a supply crisis. The original quarry in Maryland had closed during the long delay. Casey had to source new stone from Massachusetts, which is why the monument's exterior remains two-toned to this day. Casey utilized a modern steam-powered elevator inside a mobile iron frame moving upward to hoist 6-ton blocks. At 500 feet, engineers faced their greatest challenge, supporting the 300-ton marble pyramidion. They installed massive stone buttresses angling inward to distribute the peak's weight. For the final touch in 1884, the tip was capped with a small pyramid of aluminum, a metal that was exceptionally rare and valuable at the time. The engineering work at the base allowed the team to reconcile the monument's two halves, completing a project stalled by decades of neglect. Once finished, the monument became a target for both human violence and the forces of nature. In 1982, a nuclear disarmament activist held tourists hostage at the base, claiming his van was filled with 1,000 pounds of TNT and threatening to destroy the tower. The standoff lasted 10 hours before police snipers shot and killed the driver as he attempted to leave. Investigators later confirmed there were no explosives in the vehicle. In August 2011, the structure faced a natural threat when a 5.8 magnitude earthquake struck nearby Virginia, sending violent tremors through Washington, D.C. The earthquake caused 150 cracks across the exterior and dislodged heavy debris inside the shaft, forcing the monument to close for 3 years of structural repairs and stabilization. These incidents show that even a 555-foot stone tower remains susceptible to physical damage, requiring ongoing structural monitoring and reinforcement to remain upright. Today, the Washington Monument stands as a visibly imperfect structure, contrasting with the polished marble of the surrounding memorials. While Robert Mills originally envisioned a flawless, extravagant complex, the reality is a stark, two-toned obelisk. The physical marks in the stone serve as a permanent record of the nation's history, capturing the periods of civil war, religious prejudice, and political gridlock that defined its construction. By retaining these flaws, the monument accurately honors George Washington. It replaces a polished myth with a structure that reflects the difficult and resilient democratic republic he helped establish.